Welcome to this presentation on the human body. In this session, we will explore the anatomy and physiology of various human body systems, understand their functions, and learn how they work together to maintain life. Let's dive into the fascinating world of the human body. Understanding anatomy is crucial for EMTs. Key terms include anatomy, physiology, and pathophysiology. Let's dive into these concepts. Topographic anatomy refers to the body in the anatomic position, where the patient stands facing you with arms at their sides and palms forward. The body is divided by imaginary lines into three main planes: the coronal plane, which divides the body into front and back, the sagittal plane, which divides it into left and right, and the transverse plane, which divides it into top and bottom. Here is a visual representation of the anatomic planes of the body. The human body is built from cells, which form tissues. Tissues combine to create organs, and organs work together in body systems. The skeletal system gives us our recognizable human form and is composed of 206 bones, divided into the axial and appendicular skeletons. The axial skeleton forms the foundation to which the arms and legs are attached and includes the skull, facial bones, thoracic cage, and vertebral column. Joints occur wherever bones come in contact and consist of the ends of the bones and the connecting tissues. There are two types of joints: ball and socket joints and hinge joints. Here are examples of ball and socket and hinge joints, such as the shoulder and elbow. The skull is part of the axial skeleton, made up of the cranium and facial bones. The spinal column is composed of 33 vertebrae, divided into 5 sections: cervical, thoracic, lumbar, sacrum, and coccyx. The thorax is formed by the thoracic vertebrae and ribs, containing the heart, lungs, esophagus, and great vessels. The appendicular skeleton includes the arms, legs, their connection points, and the pelvis. The upper extremity extends from the pectoral girdle to the fingertips, including the arms, forearms, hands, and fingers. The shoulder girdle is composed of the clavicle, scapula, and humerus. The arm includes the humerus, radius, and ulna, with the radius on the lateral side and the ulna on the medial side. The wrist and hand consist of the carpals, metacarpals, and phalanges. The pelvic girdle consists of the hip bones, sacrum, and coccyx, with each pelvic bone formed by the fusion of the ilium, ischium, and pubis. Here is a visual representation of the pelvis, showing its components. The femur is the longest bone in the body, connecting to the pelvic girdle by a ball and socket joint. The knee connects the upper leg to the lower leg, with the tibia and fibula forming the lower leg. The ankle is a hinge joint, allowing flexion and extension of the foot. The foot contains tarsal bones, metatarsal bones, and phalanges. The skeletal system gives the body its shape, protects organs, allows movement, stores calcium, and helps create blood cells. The musculoskeletal system provides form, posture, movement, and protection of vital organs. It includes skeletal, smooth, and cardiac muscles. Here are the three types of muscle: skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. Here are the major muscle groups in the body. Muscle contraction and relaxation enable movement and generate heat, while also protecting underlying structures. The respiratory system includes all structures involved in breathing. The upper airway includes the nose, mouth, tongue, jaw, and larynx, which divides the upper and lower airway. The upper airway also includes the pharynx, trachea, and epiglottis. The lower airway includes the thyroid cartilage, cricothyroid membrane, and trachea, which divides into the bronchi. The lungs are held in place by the trachea, arteries, veins, and pulmonary ligaments, and are divided into lobes. Within the lobes are bronchi, bronchioles, and alveoli, which allow for gas exchange. Here is a visual representation of the lungs and alveoli. The diaphragm is the primary muscle of breathing, assisted by the neck, intercostal, abdominal, and pectoral muscles. During inhalation, the diaphragm and intercostal muscles contract, decreasing pressure in the thoracic cavity and filling the lungs with air. During exhalation, the diaphragm and intercostal muscles relax, returning the thoracic cavity to its normal shape and volume. The respiratory system provides oxygen to the body and eliminates carbon dioxide through ventilation and respiration. Respiration involves the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the alveoli and tissues. The brainstem controls breathing by monitoring carbon dioxide levels in the blood and spinal fluid. The medulla initiates ventilation cycles, while the pons helps augment respirations during stress. Ventilation is the movement of air into and out of the lungs, requiring chest rise and fall. Dead space is the portion of the respiratory system with no alveoli, where little or no gas exchange occurs. Normal breathing has a regular rate and depth, clear breath sounds, and regular chest movement. Inadequate breathing includes labored breathing, muscle retractions, pale or cyanotic skin, tripod position, and agonal gasps. The circulatory system is a complex arrangement of arteries, arterioles, capillaries, venules, and veins, with systemic and pulmonary circuits. The heart is a muscular organ that pumps blood throughout the body. It has 4 chambers, 2 atria and 2 ventricles. The heart's electrical system controls the timing of the heartbeat by generating electrical impulses. The heart is a hollow muscular organ made of specialized cardiac muscle. It functions as 2 paired pumps, each side divided into an atrium upper chamber and a ventricle lower chamber. The heart receives its blood supply from the aorta. The right side of the heart receives deoxygenated blood from the veins, while the left side receives oxygenated blood from the lungs. The right side of the heart pumps blood from the body through the lungs, while the left side pumps oxygen-rich blood to the rest of the body. The normal resting heart rate is 60 to 100 beats per minute. Stroke volume is the amount of blood moved by 1 beat, and cardiac output is the amount of blood moved in 1 minute, calculated as heart rate times stroke volume. The heart's electrical conduction system consists of specialized tissue capable of initiating and conducting electrical currents, causing smooth, coordinated contractions that produce the pumping action. Arteries carry blood from the heart to all body tissues. The aorta branches into several major arteries, including the coronary, carotid, hepatic, renal, and mesenteric arteries. The pulmonary artery carries oxygen-poor blood to the lungs. Arteries branch into smaller arteries and then into arterioles, which connect to capillaries. The pulse, which can be palpated at the neck, wrist, or groin, is created by the forceful pumping of blood out of the left ventricle and into the major arteries. Here is a visual representation of the main arteries, supplying blood to a vast network of smaller arteries and arterioles. Capillaries connect arterioles to venules and are the fine end divisions of the arterial system, allowing contact between blood and cells. Veins return oxygen-depleted blood to the heart. The superior vena cava carries blood from the head, neck, shoulders, and upper extremities, while the inferior vena cava carries blood from the abdomen, pelvis, and lower extremities. The spleen is a solid organ located under the rib cage that filters blood and is particularly susceptible to injury from blunt trauma. Blood is composed of plasma, the liquid component, red blood cells, erythrocytes, white blood cells, leukocytes, and platelets. Blood pressure is the pressure that blood exerts against the walls of arteries. Systole occurs when the left ventricle contracts, pumping blood into the aorta, while diastole occurs when the ventricle relaxes and fills with blood. Blood pressure readings include systolic blood pressure, the high point of the wave, and diastolic blood pressure, the low point of the wave. Normal circulation is automatically adjusted and controlled to ensure perfusion, which is the circulation of blood in adequate amounts to meet the needs of cells. The body can adjust to small blood loss by constricting vessels and increasing heart rate. However, with significant blood loss, these adjustments fail, leading to shock. Blood has several functions, including fighting infection, transporting oxygen and carbon dioxide, controlling pH, transporting wastes and nutrients, and clotting. The sympathetic nervous system is responsible for the fight or flight response, sending commands to the adrenal glands to secrete epinephrine and norepinephrine, which stimulate the heart and blood vessels. Blood vessels have alpha-adrenergic receptors, while the heart and lungs have beta-adrenergic receptors. Baroreceptors sense pressure in the blood vessels, and the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems balance each other. The nervous system is divided into two main portions, the central nervous system, CNS, and the peripheral nervous system. The CNS includes the brain and spinal cord, while the peripheral nervous system includes sensory and motor nerves. The central nervous system, CNS, is composed of the brain and spinal cord. The brain is the control center of the body, responsible for processing sensory information, regulating bodily functions, and enabling thought, memory, and emotion. Cerebrospinal fluid cushions and protects the brain and spinal cord. Oxygenated blood is supplied to the brain via the carotid arteries, and deoxygenated blood is drained by the internal and external jugular veins. The spinal cord is an extension of the brainstem, transmitting messages between the brain and body. It exits the skull at the foramen magnum and extends down to the level of the second lumbar vertebra. The peripheral nervous system is divided into two main portions, the somatic nervous system, which transmits signals from the brain to voluntary muscles, and the autonomic nervous system, which controls involuntary actions. The autonomic nervous system is split into two areas, the sympathetic nervous system, responsible for the fight or flight response, and the parasympathetic nervous system, which slows the body down. There are two types of nerves within the peripheral nervous system: sensory nerves, which carry information from the body to the CNS, and motor nerves, which carry information from the CNS to the muscles. The skin is the largest single organ in the body, composed of two layers, the epidermis superficial and the dermis deeper. Subcutaneous tissue lies beneath the skin, consisting of fat that insulates and serves as an energy reservoir. The skin has three major functions: protecting the body in the environment, regulating body temperature, and transmitting information from the environment to the brain. The skin protects the body from environmental hazards, regulates body temperature through sweat and blood flow, and provides sensory information about the surrounding environment. The digestive system is located in the abdomen, the second major body cavity, and contains major organs of digestion and excretion. It is organized into 4 quadrants: right upper, right lower, and left lower. Several organs in the abdomen lie in more than one quadrant, including the liver, stomach, and intestines. The digestive system includes the mouth, lips, cheeks, gums, teeth, tongue, salivary glands, oropharynx, esophagus, stomach, and pancreas. It also includes the liver, bile ducts, small intestine, large intestine, appendix, and rectum. Enzymes from the salivary glands, stomach, liver, pancreas, and small intestine convert food into basic sugars, fatty acids, and amino acids, which are further processed by the liver and circulated via blood throughout the body. The lymphatic system includes the spleen, lymph nodes, lymph vessels, thymus gland, and other components. It supports the circulatory and immune systems. Lymph is a thin, straw-colored fluid that carries oxygen and nutrients to cells and waste products away, helping to rid the body of toxins and other harmful materials. The endocrine system is a complex message and control system that integrates many body functions. Hormones are released directly into the bloodstream, including epinephrine, norepinephrine, and insulin. The brain controls the release of hormones. Excesses or deficiencies in hormones can cause disease. The urinary system controls the discharge of certain waste materials filtered from the blood by the kidneys. It controls fluid balance, filters and eliminates wastes, and controls pH balance. The urinary system includes the kidneys, ureters, urinary bladder, and urethra. The genital system controls reproductive processes. The male system consists of the testicles, epididymis, vasa deferentia, prostate gland, seminal vesicles, and penis. The male reproductive system includes the testicles, epididymis, vasa deferentia, prostate gland, seminal vesicles, and penis. The female system consists of the ovaries, fallopian tubes, uterus, cervix, and vagina. The female system consists of the ovaries, fallopian tubes, uterus, cervix, and vagina. All cells in the body require oxygen, nutrients, and removal of waste. The circulatory system is the carrier of these supplies and wastes. If interference occurs, cells become damaged and die. Cells use oxygen to turn nutrients into chemical energy through metabolism. Aerobic metabolism uses oxygen, while cells switch to anaerobic metabolism when oxygen is limited. Movement of oxygen, waste, and nutrients occurs by diffusion. pH is critical to diffusion, and the body expends a large amount of energy to maintain normal pH. Pathophysiology is the study of functional changes that occur when the body reacts to disease. Respiratory compromise is the inability of the body to move gas effectively, leading to hypoxia and hypercarbia. Factors that impair ventilation include a blocked airway, impairment of the muscles of breathing, and physiological airway obstruction, e.g. asthma. Factors that impair respiration include changes in the atmosphere, high altitudes, and impaired movement of gas across cell membranes. The V/Q ratio measures how much gas is being moved effectively through the lungs and how much blood is flowing around the alveoli, where perfusion occurs. A mismatch occurs when one variable is abnormal. Effects of respiratory compromise on the body include falling oxygen levels, rising carbon dioxide levels, increased respiratory rate, blood becoming more acidic, and cells moving from aerobic to anaerobic metabolism. Shock occurs when organs and tissues do not receive enough oxygen, leading to cellular hypoxia. It is categorized into several types depending on the cause. Effects of shock on the body include falling oxygen levels, cells engaging in anaerobic metabolism, severe metabolic acidosis, release of epinephrine and norepinephrine, increased heart rate, and movement of interstitial fluid into the capillaries. Impairment of cellular metabolism results in the inability to properly use oxygen and glucose at the cellular level. Cells create energy through anaerobic metabolism, which can result in metabolic acidosis. Brain cells cannot use alternative fuels, and cellular injury may become irreversible.